In 2009, the theater for which I work programmed a stage adaptation of Jane Austen's Pride and Prejudice, for which I made several bonnets. In this video, I'll explain how bonnets for stage performance differ structurally from historical ones, how I made one of the original bonnets using a traditional Buckram foundation, and how I remade the style as part of my ongoing research into potential alternatives for Buckram. To learn more about why I'm doing this research, here's an explainer. I'm Rachel, and here on my channel, Labricoleuse, I cover important topics relevant to professional costume making.
This video is my contribution to Virtual JaneCon 2024, a free, accessible online event for Jane Austen scholars and fans.
Links to more information and other Virtual JaneCon programming can be found in the description to this video.
Bonnets pose a particular challenge on stage,
one every theatrical milliner and costume designer wrestles with.
Fashionable Regency bonnets had deep brims shading the face for sun protection and modesty. Because actors perform under stage lights, brims are shallower and more flared out than they would have been historically.
From a creative standpoint, it's important to communicate with the lighting designer about this issue, or just abandon bonnets altogether, because on stage they are very difficult styles to work with. Directors and performers come up with reasons to take them off as quickly as possible because of this.
Making the original shako bonnet. This is a military hat called a shako, and you can see how its shape influenced bonnet styles such as these. Costume designer Camille Asaf provided these research images to indicate how she'd like the bonnet to look. I taped together a mock-up using cardstock, brown paper, scrap fabric, and wire. Camille gave feedback about the height of the crown and the flare of the brim, and I was ready to pattern the actual bonnet.
I used a traditional foundation of buckram and wire.
This diagram indicates where the support wires are placed. The sideband of the bonnet crown is cut on the bias diagonal.
Because this designer trusted me to make aesthetic choices about the hat construction, and I had enough fabric,
I knife pleated the sideband to add complexity to the pink and white striped silk. Because the action of a scene involved Kitty and Lydia putting on their bonnets preparing to go out, the ribbon ties were rigged with hidden snaps so the actors could easily fasten them in the same way for each performance.
Since the bonnets would come off and on in view of the audience,
I lined them in smooth fabric to preserve the tidiness of the wigs. My team and I called this the cupcake bonnet. 15 years later, I remade Lydia Bennet's bonnet.
When I began my research into potential substitutes for buckram as a millinery foundation, I looked at the buckram hats I'd made over the years, with a plan to remake one using likely alternative materials.
The Green Guard certified outdoor scrim Phifertex is one such textile.
The project vlog of my initial Phifertex millinery test is here and linked in the description of this video. The Lydia bonnet struck me as a good style to remake as a sample.
The shako is a distinct period shape, but is structurally similar to many other styles traditionally made with a wired buckram foundation. A two-piece crown with a separate brim. I loved making the original and appreciated the opportunity to revisit the style in this research. Phifertex is 54 inches wide and comes rolled on a tube like Buckram did back when I first began making hats for the stage in the 1990s. I cut the pattern pieces out
and assembled the bonnet as I had for the original.
To stabilize flexibility observed in my initial Phifertex research, I added a hoop of nylon boning halfway up the height of the crown.
Because this was a bonnet made for a research project instead of a show, I chose the cover fabric.
My theater had produced a stage adaptation of Sense and Sensibility in 2017.
A production for which I made no bonnets at all.
I picked a remnant of lavender striped silk originally used in that 2017 show for Eleanor Dashwood's costume.
I may not have made her a bonnet for the production, but I could make her one now.
I lined the brim in a sweet white eyelet, and the bonnet turned out beautifully. It's equally sturdy compared to the original, and about half the weight.
I have no doubt that the Phifertex replica could survive the run of a show intact and even be reused in future productions. I've spent the spring semester conducting research into potential Buckram substitutes for my fall 2024 stage millinery class.
I'm releasing project vlogs about my results for each material tested, so you can see how it works in a millinery application, learn the pros and cons, and decide whether you want to explore using the material in your own hat making.
This is the third of those vlogs, and you can watch other videos in the series on this playlist, as well as learn more about wired foundation millinery in general.